Hello, hi everyone. Good evening. Good evening to Good evening to those in Canada, and good morning to everybody in the Philippines. It's now 11 in the morning in the Philippines, and here in Calgary time, it's 8 o'clock in the evening. And thank you for joining us. My name is Agatha, and you are watching All About Agatha. And today is a very interesting night because we will be talking about another immigration-related content, and we will be focusing on the student pathway. So first, before we welcome our guest speakers to share their experiences, I would like to give a brief background of what a study pathway is. So more and more people are trying to migrate here to Canada, and there are various pathways available for one to be able to become a permanent resident of Canada. But there are a couple of eligibility that you have to ensure that you have for you to be able to get into that pathway. So the most common pathway is the federal express entry, wherein if you get approved that you will be a landed immigrant, then you'll get permanent residency here in Canada. Another pathway is where an applicant can apply for work here, and they can obtain an open work permit or a work permit regardless. And after gaining Canadian work experience, if they have sufficient number of years for the experience, they can use that to be able to go into the federal express entry or get a nomination. But what if you don't have the CRS points required to be able to get that, and you don't have an employer to sponsor you for a work permit? Now, we have the third pathway. This is deemed as the easiest and fastest way to come here to Canada, of course, excluding the current situation of the COVID-19 pandemic right now, but it is one of the easiest pathway. And of course, once a student comes here to Canada, there are lots of opportunities or pathways that open up to them. So in this episode, in this session, this is actually our very first student visa sessions, and we'll make sure to have more sessions probably in the next few months, so we can have more case studies, more real life experiences, and more examples that will help not just the current applicants, but those prospective applicants. Okay, so for this content, we won't just be talking about the study permit in general. We will be talking about our guest speakers' background in the Philippines, their study permit application timeline, and once they come here to Canada, let's see what their journey was like in their in their prospective schools here. And also, if you are a student here in Canada, you are entitled to work. So let's also ask them a couple of questions on how was their journey in finding jobs, in the actual job itself, and living in Canada in general. So you'll get a couple of tips and advices from all of us, as we both are international students and have been international students. So let's just go through the journey together. This is just a casual conversation and interview with each one of them. And as a study permit holder, you are also entitled to bring your family here, your spouse and your dependents on open work permit, on a study permit, or a tourist visa holder. We'll also discuss all of those. Okay, and plus bonus is you'll be able to ask your own questions. So if you are a current applicant just trying to get admission from your schools, trying to choose schools, wants to know how life is in Canada, and just anything that you can think of under the sun. You can ask those questions by keying in your questions in the chat box. So this is streamed in live on YouTube, so make sure you are logged into your own YouTube account. You can type in your questions, and once we see that, we'll be able to answer those questions. And you can also have your questions answered by any specific guest speaker if you'd like to. Okay, so let's start. I don't want to wait any further because I know this discussion is going to be very interesting and very long. So let's not wait anymore. Okay, so I will introduce our guest speakers for today. Now, our guest speakers are current and past international students here in Canada. Now, we have focused our group firstly in Calgary, Alberta. So we can compare their schools, their journeys, their work here in Canada, and living here in Calgary. So our first guest speaker is a previous student from state. So that's the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology. And I'd like her to introduce herself. And this is a very good friend of mine. I'd like to welcome Ms. Abigail Young.
Yeah, I hope everything
Hi,
is good.
Abby.
Yeah, hi Agatha and
Hi, Abby.
everyone.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you properly. Okay. So yeah, hi everyone, and from the Philippines and here in Canada. Is everything okay, Agatha?
Yes, hello to our viewers. I think we're
Okay.
global right now because yes, I think it's okay. Okay,
Okay, I
yeah. So
think
I'd
you're.
like to welcome Miss Abigail Young. She's a previous student from SAIT, Southern Alberta Institute of
Mhm.
Technology. She took up business administration diploma, and she was a student permit holder along with her husband on an open work permit. So Miss Abigail, if you can just greet our viewers.
Hello. Yeah. And also, I will just not correct, but yeah, I'm still a student. Yeah, so I'll just include that in my introduction.
Okay,
Okay.
because okay, I'm sorry about that. Yes, because I feel like we've known each other for a long time now, and I feel like we've
Exactly.
already gone through the process already.
Okay, that's
Because a
okay.
lot of our
Yeah.
batchmates as well have been in postgraduate work permit,
Mhm.
and have been some of them are have also taken a permanent residency
Mhm.
as well. So,
And
Ms. Abigail, I'd like to ask your background in the Philippines. So, before you took up business administration diploma, what was your course back home?
okay. Hello. So before coming here in Canada, I used to be a training engineer in the biggest oil company in the Philippines for almost 4 years, and most of my experience is about management and corporate. I don't have any experience in engineering, but my degree is industrial engineering.
Okay, and then your course with the state is business administration diploma. So why did you choose to go with that program?
Basically, I've always wanted to change career because, like what I've said, my previous experience in the Philippines is training engineer. So I feel like it's kind of more related to human resources. So I was like, I think it's a good time to study human resources because my background is engineering. So those stuff. So I've decided why not take business administration.
Okay, and I'm assuming that when you did your study explanation, your letter of explanation, you tried to correlate both those courses with your experience and your background at home, right?
Yeah, I actually did. Like I told them, like since I don't have any educations with human resources, but then I am aiming for a career in human resources. So I think it's a good idea for me to study that. And I think it's a great opportunity for me to have a good career with human resources if I do have an education related to that, rather than being an engineering graduate.
That's actually a good choice. Now, in terms of
Mhm.
school, Miss Abby, there are a couple of colleges and universities here in Calgary. Or did you actually was your first choice here in Alberta, or were you looking into other provinces too?
Uh, as far as I can remember, my husband and we were looking at Nova Scotia as well. Yeah, because it's an Atlantic province, and to be honest, like I love seafood, so I think that's the closest I could get. Because because if like here in Calgary, like we don't get any fresh seafood, so it's prairie, right? So originally we chose Nova Scotia, but then my parents doesn't want us in Nova Scotia because it's too far from them. So our next choice was Calgary.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good. It's actually good to consider moving to a place where your relatives are. I would say for first timers who will be outside of the country and trying to live into a different country because it's really hard to adjust. I do have my own relatives here, and I've still had a hard time adjusting. So if you have relatives over here, I guess it's going to be a really huge help for them, in terms of expenses as well.
Yeah.
So in terms of school, Miss Abby, there are a couple of colleges and universities here. We have Bow Valley, we have SAIT, and we have a couple in other provinces as well
Mhm.
outside Calgary. So, what made you decide to study in SAIT?
I guess there's no particular reason because when I was just searching for school in Calgary, because like when we already decided like we want to go to Calgary, I just searched online and then the first thing that came up is SAIT. And when I tried to search for the reviews and stuff like that, it says it's actually a good school, not only in Calgary, but it's a good school in I mean in here in Alberta itself. So
Okay.
I think that's the reason why I chose SAIT. But I mean, there's no really particular reason for that.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. How was your admission process with SAIT? I have been in touch with a couple of students who've
Mhm.
had trouble with admission process, like it's taking too long. There are lots of documents required. But how was yours?
Mm, I believe as compared to other school, I think for SAIT, like it really takes a long time, but not in my case because I think when I applied for it, I think it was June 2018, somewhat those periods. So I think there are only few people who are applying for international student. So the process only took me a month to get my letter of acceptance.
Oh, that's actually fast. And how about the tuition? How much did it cost you, if you don't mind, for a two? I guess you're taking a 2-year program, right? A diploma
Yeah.
program. How much did it
Mhm.
cost you per semester or per year or in total?
In total for a year, because I took up student direct stream, so we paid roughly about 18,000, I believe. Yeah, 18,000 for a year in
Okay,
Canadian
wow.
dollars.
That's actually a lot. I mean, I've tried choosing between state as well. Actually, my first choice was state, to be honest.
Mhm.
But when I looked into the difference between the tuition with Bow
Mhm.
Valley College, our tuition was just around 15,000. With state, yes, it was about 18,000 a year. So I looked at, I was thinking about 3,000 Canadian dollars is a huge difference already. So
Yes.
yeah, I went with
It
Bow
is.
Valley because anyway, their program was okay. Yeah, but definitely a new university, I think, has its own advantages in terms of the learning experience as well. So how was your learning experience with them with SAIT? A lot of students right now, or aspiring students, have some hesitations in moving abroad and being an international student, just because they are scared of what they are expecting. Was it hard? Did you have a hard time adjusting to the classes, to your environment? How was it overall?
Based on my personal experience, I really didn't adjust much because I believe education in Philippines is harder than here in Canada, I would say. And it's just that they I mean, for me, it was a bit a challenge because it was my first time studying and working at the same time. So I think that's the only challenge I had, right? Because you have to work 20 hours per week and you also have homeworks to do and stuff like that. So I think that's the most challenge. But when it comes to education itself, it's not that hard. I would say it's not really hard. And our instructor is very considerate and I don't think I really encounter any problem.
Were there also a lot of, would you say, did you feel like you were overpowered by the domestic students, or did you also have a large population of international students that made it easier for you?
I would say there are a lot of international students, and to be honest, a lot of Filipinos. And I'm so blessed because during my first day, I already met a lot of Filipino international students. So I think they became my support. That's why it's not really hard for me to adjust at the beginning.
Okay, thank you. And my last question for the school, for your school journey is, how was the schedule with your classes? So we are required to be full-time students. So
Mhm.
how was your schedule like with business? I know it's different per course. Some courses may be more hectic with others, but for those looking into taking business administration diploma, how many hours per day and how many days in a week do you go to school?
I think, well, if I can remember it correctly, because right now it's really different because I'm taking online classes. But when I mean, at the campus itself, we only have two courses per day. So usually it's 2 hours per courses, and it was a 5 day, 5 day program or studying time. So every day we do have classes. So it's kind of hard to have a part time, to be honest, because you have to be at school. For example, like you have to be there 8 to 1 o'clock, and then you're already tired, right? But I think
Yes.
for other school, like they only have like 3 days. You can choose your own schedule. But for us, like at the beginning, we cannot.
I can agree to that because if I could compare with Boval, we have the same course. I'm also taking business administration diploma major in HR. And with Bow Valley College, we had the liberty. I guess because we have, I don't know if it has something to do with the number of classes and the number of professors. So we had a lot of them. That's why we had the liberty to choose our schedule. So with my experience, I only had classes 2 days out of 7 days in a week.
Mhm.
I tried jam packing it, although I would not recommend it to someone who will return studying and who will study for the first time in a long time and would want to work as well. But it worked for me just because I had kids as well. I had other stuff going on, so I was able to jam pack my schedule for 2 days in a week. So those are repeat subjects. So like Monday and Wednesday from 9 to 3, and then I was free for the rest of the week. So I think that made it easier for me. So those are some considerations that aspiring students may want to look into when they're trying to choose a course or program or even a school. So thank you, Abby. Thank you, Abby. So we'll just cut through our topics. First, we'll discuss the schools, go through round robin with other guest speakers, and then after that, we'll proceed with the study permit application. So we'll come back to you. Thank you so
All right, for
much.
sure. Thank you.
Okay, great. That's Miss Abigail Young from SAFE, taking Business Administration Diploma in Human Resources. And now let's move on to our guest speaker. Now, our guest speaker is also from Bow Valley College. And I'd like to introduce him first before I get to know his background. So I will introduce him now. His name is Mr. Jason Nadella. Hi,
Hi guys.
Jason.
Hi
Hi.
Agatha.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be able to share your experience. Do you have any welcome message to all of our viewers for today?
Nothing really, but yeah, welcome to the live vlog by Agatha. I hope you will learn something and be more encouraged to come here to Canada.
Great, great. Thank you, Jason. So I'll just have a little bit of introduction about Jason. Jason
Yeah,
is
sure.
a student from Bow Valley College as well, and he took up health and human resource management. So he's already done with the program. And in terms of the study permit application, he was a single applicant. So Jason, I'd also like to ask you the same questions just so we can compare our experiences with different students, different schools, and different programs. Now, if I may ask, what was your background in the Philippines?
Well, I'm a registered nurse back home, but I just had a little bit of experience working in the hospital, and then I quit, and then I moved to being a call center representative. I got promoted to being a quality assurance for 4 years, and that's just my experience before coming here to Canada. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And so your program that you chose was Health and Human Resource Management. So did you relate that more into your nursing field or into the management side in the call center industry?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. Well, basically, this program allows me to work in a clinical setting as well as in the office at the same time. So that's why I chose this program so I could give myself more flexibility in applying for different jobs here in Canada.
That's true. That's true. That gives you the leverage between both sides. And in terms of choosing your school, did you actually go through a lot of different colleges and universities before choosing Bow Valley College, or were you already decided to come to Bow Valley College?
Uh, Funny thing was I didn't really know about anything in Calgary or in Alberta the first time because I applied via an agency, and they offered Bow Valley College, and that was when I checked the school, and I decided to go there primarily because it's in the middle of the downtown area of Calgary, so it has more access to different places. And I've heard that there are more foreign students or international students in there as well. So yeah.
Yes, I think that's true. Learning the background of Bow Valley College, I think they have the largest international student population, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Yes. And when I came into school, I have realized that right away, talking to classmates, that almost all of them are international students. I'm not sure if
Right.
that
Yeah.
was just my program or that's for the whole school. So, do you have any relatives here in Calgary, in Canada?
Well, yeah. My auntie is in Lethbridge. I mean, I'm living here in Lethbridge together with her and my cousin as well. So that's one of the reasons why I chose Alberta as my primary place to live here.
Okay, I see. So after, from what I know, after your studies with Bow Valley College, you were offered a job, and that was the job in Lethbridge. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
So
great. Thank you. And going back to the admission process, so you said you had an agency do that for you. Um, but did you have any control over your admission process, or they just asked you to send out documents? Did you know the time frame as to when you got your letter of acceptance, how long it took you?
well, yeah. The whole process I think took about a year of emails, going through all the requirements. Well, they keep tabs of whatever is happening, and they let me know. But basically, they were the ones who did all the work. I just got the requirements and pass it on to them. But the process is pretty straightforward. Uh, it's just that there was a long wait time to get a slot of the program, but everything else went smoothly after that.
Okay, that makes sense because I was thinking like 1 year is quite long, but in reality, in your program, Health and Human Resource Management, I always see that program is on wait list just because a lot
Yeah.
of international students as well. And those are mostly, I think, nursing graduates from all over the world choose from Health and Resource Human Management,
Yeah.
LPN, other medical field courses. Do you have are you planning in the future to get back to your nursing field, like being certified or registered here in Canada?
Yep, I have plans on becoming a registered nurse here. It's just that I'm waiting for my permanent resident application, because we all know that going back to school takes more money as a foreign student. So I'm just waiting for my status to update.
Okay, thank you. And speaking of nurses from all over the world, of course, their end goal here after studying is to become certified or registered here in Canada. If you don't mind, because I don't have an idea about it, but I know a lot of
Mhm.
nursing students would want to get into that situation. So do you have any information about aspiring students who would want to take up that journey here? How do they become certified? Do they specifically have to take a nursing program here, or do they just have to take an exam after they come here?
Well, it depends. If they have, as far as I know, I could be wrong, but as far as I know, if you have a recent experience back in the Philippines, then you could apply. They would assess your experience and skills, and they might decide for you to just challenge the exam straight away, or they could tell you to go back to school, take up some programs, take up some subjects. It might take you a year or so before you could be qualified to take the licensure or the exam to be registered nurses. So some of the nurses who came from the Philippines would just opt to get the LPN program first, and then when they become LPNs, they'd work their way towards being RNs.
Okay, thank you so much, Jason, for sharing that experience. That's really going to be helpful for our nurses from back home. My last question about the school journey: how was it overall for you? How was the classes, the teaching, the learning experience? Yes, and the professors possibly. Those are some of the usual questions for those aspiring students coming here.
Yeah, all right. So, well, I chose my classes to happen every other day, just so I will have more free time to work on my assignments, to go to work as well. Um, and then we have very approachable professors, as you know, in Bow Valley College. They were quite familiar with how to deal with international students. We have different backgrounds, different cultures. So I think they were more approachable than others. The classes are more relaxed compared to what we have in the Philippines. Um, yeah, really more relaxed, but there's a focus on critical thinking and practical applications of the lessons rather than just plain memorization of what we have in the textbooks. School environment was good. I like it. What I like about it was there were no uniforms required, so you could just wear whatever you want. It's better when it's during summer because you can just wear shorts or whatever. um, and then there's a lot of international students that you'll get to know in the school. So overall, it's fine. I haven't had any like difficulties adapting to what we have here. It's a lot easier than what you guys have in the Philippines. That's for sure.
I agree. I agree because I think in the Philippines we're more focused on the classes, the theories. Well
Yeah,
here there's it's very more, I think, more interactive in terms that they have group works, teamworks,
yeah,
presentations, and a whole lot. I remember back in the Philippines when I was in college, that was like a decade ago. It was all memorization, exams, quizzes, and those stuff. So I think
yeah,
for those asking if which is easier, Philippine education or Canadian education, I think it's more relaxed, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. Thank you so much. That's it for me, Jason, for the school journey, and we will
yeah.
come back.
Thanks.
We'll come back to you after our next speaker. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, great. That's Jason Nadella from Bow Valley College. And we will move on to our third speaker. Now, our third speaker, this I think a lot of people will be able to relate to this because she has a family that she brought to Canada. So we have our next guest. She is a study permit holder, and she was able to bring her husband. He is on a dependent, so currently has an open work permit, and she has two kids as well here that are both on study permits. So I know a lot will be interested in her experience here. So I'd like to welcome Miss Ariane Britannia. Hi, Ariane.
Hello. Good evening.
Hi. Good evening.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you again for joining us and giving us the opportunity to get to know you and share your experience with us. So I'll just do a little bit of background. Miss Ariane is from Bow Valley College as well, and she is taking up disability studies diploma. So Miss Ariane, I would like to ask, what was your background in the Philippines?
In the Philippines, I was a registered nurse too, but I didn't pursue my profession because I was hired in the government office in the Department of Social Welfare and Development, and I worked there for like almost 6 years. Yeah, and I don't have any experience in the hospitals until I
Okay, all
decided
right.
to come.
Yes. So I know it's quite kind of related, but I just wanted to give more information on why did you choose disability studies diploma?
I chose a disability studies diploma because it's quite related to nursing and social work back home because I have experience in social services and yeah, we deal with disabled and abled clients back home. So I think it's a good reason for me to, justify my application coming to Canada.
That's
Yeah.
true. Thank you. And in terms of choosing the school, did you look into other schools aside from Bow Valley or even outside of Alberta?
Um, because before my goal is just to come here in Canada as an immigrant, but since it's not easy to apply, so I decided to apply as a student. So I saw Bow Valley College through the group in Facebook, the study
Mhm.
permit DIY. So I joined the group, and then I saw the post there, the schools, the list of schools where we can apply with, because I don't want to take IELTS exam anymore before. So so that's why I chose Bow Valley College, and there I saw the program, and I got really interested with the everything. So I think this is the best program for me. So I pursued it, and yeah.
Mhm. Did you have any relatives here in Calgary that was also a factor in you choosing this location, or not at all?
Actually, I have no relatives. I don't know anyone here before when I applied, but when I got approved with my permit, I met a lot of common friends and family friends from my,
Yes.
yeah.
I think cousin. You also found. I'm not sure if that's a real cousin. Krishna.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
actually, I met Kina through study
Tina.
permit.
Yes.
Yeah, but at first I don't know that we are related until we start chatting, and then until I realize until I realized that we live in the same city back home,
Mhm. Oh,
and
see,
we're
that's
somewhat, yeah, we're related.
that's interesting. I mean, how small the world can be, right? So,
Yeah.
in terms of the admission process, now, did you actually take too long to get a letter of admission for the disability studies diploma? Did you were you on the wait list, or did you look into other programs as well?
Actually, my timing was I don't know, but maybe it's a blessing from God because everything is in the right timing. And when I applied, I paid for the application fee. I just followed the process in the school website, and paid, I think it's $130 before to create a profile in Alberta something. I don't know. I forgot. And then after that, when I already paid the fee for the school, I submitted everything, the requirements for me to um, get that letter of acceptance. So I think it's 3 weeks. I've waited for like 3 weeks for the letter of acceptance.
I think that was fairly fast, considering I know a lot of people trying to apply, especially in healthcare fields, that takes them 4 to 6 weeks. So I think that really is fast on that regard. Now let's go to your school journey for disability studies diploma. How was your classes? Was it harder here than back home? How was your schedule and your grades, the school environment? Did you have a hard time adjusting to it?
Actually, before when we started the program, I was like I don't know how to cope before because back in the Philippines we don't usually read. I don't like reading actually, but when I came here, so they gave us like uh an article, I think, and like 4 to 5 or 8 pages to read, and then and then you will write an essay. So in my program we always write essays, so it's like 5 to 3 pages, everything's like narrative. And then I was like, how can I start? I don't know how to start this paper. But as time goes by, I already like practice my essay writing, and I was able to cope with everything. But with the schedule, I think the time here, the schedules for classes are very flexible, because I one course is you will only take it for like once a week for 3 hours. So I think it's okay. It's very flexible. You can take your like 5 courses in a sem, and then you can take it if you want 3 days only, and then you can work like 4 days in a week, like So I think the schedule is good. Unlike in the Philippines, that the school there is like 5 days a week, and then 8 to 5, or maybe until nighttime. You're still in school.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
but especially as a full-time student, if you are a student in the Philippines, I think you really have to devote yourself to being a student, because it's hard if you have a work outside of those. Unlike here in Canada, that they are very flexible in terms of. I think it goes with the course as well, because disability studies have a lot of applicants. They have lots of classes and lots of professors in that program, because it's an in-demand career. So I guess it comes with that. That's why we like with the same as the business administration, we have more flexibility in terms of the classes. Were there night schedules as well? Because I know one program in Boval that they have like, are from 6 to 9 p.m. This is good for night for day workers or mothers or fathers who are taking a program as well.
I think we also have a night schedules, but in my case before, I didn't took any night classes before, because of I don't feel like I'm in a good mood of studying during nighttime.
That's true. That's true. I
Yeah.
totally relate that as well. Okay, so I think that's it. We've covered all the questions for the school topic. Of course, I am looking into the chat boxes. So for our guests, if you have any questions for any of our guest speakers, you can just type them in the chat box, and we will get back to you. And I just like to say hi to our viewers who have typed into the comment box. Hi, Melanie. Hi, Josephine. Hi, Sha. Hi, MC, and to those others watching us for today. So if you'd like, just comment down. So if you also have experiences that you can share, I will read it out aloud. It also might be helpful for some of our viewers. Okay, thank you so much, Arian. So I'll come back to you. We'll move on to our next speaker.
Thank you.
Okay, and for our next speaker for today is a solo applicant here in Canada. She's also from Bow Valley College. She took up a human resources certificate, so it's a one-year program. And I'd like to welcome Miss Kath Espiritu. Hi, Kath. I think you're on mute.
Oh, yes. Again, hi everyone.
Hi, Kath. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Great, doing fine. Thank you. Do you have any welcome message to our viewers for today?
Well, thank you so much for having a time to watch and be with us. So we're hoping to see you here in Canada soon.
That's good. That's good. Okay. So, Kath, my first question is, so we are focused on first the school journey for now. So, what was your background in the Philippines?
So I graduated bachelor's degree in travel management. So I know I actually work with the hotel. So what I did is I was actually a sales account manager. So most of my experience are actually in the hotel industry and the tourism industry. But I took human resources certificate in Bow Valley. I don't know. I will explain to you later on if you have questions about that.
Yes, that is actually a very interesting topic, because that's a career change.
Very correct.
So I want to know how you defended that on your study study letter of explanation, because most refusals nowadays come from those, if you are not able to provide a connection. And if there's no connection, these visa officers might think that you are not a genuine student. So you really should have that relationship from your previous experience, whether in school or whether in work. But did you have a work experience already, or were you a fresh graduate when you applied for the study permit?
No, so I worked for like 3 years as a sales account. No, sorry, 2 years as a sales account manager, and then I decided to apply for the visa, student visa. And the reason why I choose human resources is that because that's the only program that is available for Bow Valley. Because I actually wanted to, so I don't initially wanted to go to Canada. It's just in like in a bliss I just decided, oh, I think I need to go to Canada. And then after like few days I already applied for Bow Valley, and then that's the only program that is available at the time, and I really really wanted to go to Canada as soon as possible, so I choose human resources instead of the other programs.
I actually remember when you told me that when we were classmates back then that your application was actually very fast
It
and it
is.
was like done in a bliss, and you were here already and you did not even realize that you were here already. But how
Yeah.
was the admission process with human resources certificate? I know a lot of applicants or even domestic students here are taking that program. How long did you wait for the letter of acceptance?
So I applied October 2018, and sorry, no, I applied initially in August 2018, and then I received the letter of acceptance on October. So it took 2 months because I was on a wait list. Actually, again, that's the only program that is available, and I am very very late because my intake was January 2019, right?
Yes.
Yeah, January 2019. So it's only 4 months or 5 months away from the intake. So I'm very late, but a good thing I was accepted by the college.
Wow. Okay. So this is going to be interesting when we get to your study permit application journey. So anyway, last questions for your school journey. How was the classes? How was the schedule, grades, professors, and the school environment?
It was totally different from what we had in the Philippines. So in here, it's more on the research. You have to do 5 to 10 pages of research every single time. You have to do presentations in every subjects, and then. But for the schedule, it's very. You have the freedom for you to choose what schedule you want. So on my first semester, I'll only have 2 days of classes, so Monday and Wednesday. I choose that kind of schedule because I want to work, and I want to have time to work on my on my assignments as well, and review some courseworks. And with the grading system, they are really good. You just have to do all your course requirements so that you can get better grades.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That's very well detailed and very specific. So thank you, Kath, for sharing your school journey, and we'll come back to you after our next guest.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. And for our last guest for today, she's also from Bow Valley College. She is on a study permit right now. She was able to bring her dependents. Her spouse is on open work permit, and she has a child that is on student permit as well. So I would like everyone to welcome Miss Diane Victoria. She's from Bow Valley College, taking up business administration diploma. Hi, Diane.
Hi,
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Great, I'm doing good. Thank you again for I know you just got out from work, but thank
Yeah,
you for for
no
being
worries.
here and being able to share the opportunity to be able to inspire and motivate and share your experiences with our prospective students. So again, like the question that I've asked the others, what was your background in the Philippines before applying for a study permit?
I am a nurse in the Philippines. Like I graduated 2011 and I got my license right after. But then I didn't work as a nurse. Like I worked in like Ariane, we were workmates in the SWD for 7 years. But then I decided to take business administration because since I was 10, my family do have businesses back home. So maybe that's the strongest thing I can defend on my SOP or my letter of intent. Yeah.
Okay, all right. But did you in your we're supposed to talk about this later, but I'm really interested in how in the SOP that you made, did you have any focus on your nursing skills in your nursing background, or you tried to leave it all alone and just focus on the management in your business back home?
Um, I I just said that nursing is not really my passion. It's just like a dream of my mother that I need to continue. That's what it is. So I just told it in the SOP, and then I concentrated on the work I had in the SWB, wherein we provide livelihood, and then I also like told them that the businesses we had is the real inspiration for the business administration course.
Okay, I can totally relate to that because I took up nursing as well, and I guess we're batchmates. I'm also from 2011, which is so that's a good thing to know right now. At least I have like a batchmate here in Canada, 2011. But same as you, I did not practice whatsoever. And that was also stated in my SOP that I took up nursing because that's the only career that I know because my mother and my relatives are in the medical field. But I think it wasn't a red flag or an issue to begin with because I had no work experience. I wasn't registered, I wasn't licensed, and from the time I worked, it was more into the management and the business side. Yes. So in terms of the admission, sorry, in terms of the school, were you eyeing on directly on Bow Valley College, or did you have a couple of options before that?
Way back 2016, we had this first entry profile, but it didn't work. So 2017, I tried to go to Centennial College, also with Manitoba colleges, but then um, I was not really that decided back then. And then come 2018, my workmate Ariane decided to do student for me, and then I was also inspired to do it, like in Bow Valley College. Like I didn't know any school here in Alberta, but then I just copied what Ariane did.
So did you have your relatives here or friends or just the same as Ari and that and they did not know anyone at all here?
When I was here, like I knew I have relatives here, but when I was in the Philippines, I didn't know anyone. Very
Oh,
sad,
okay.
one. Yeah, very sad. But then when I was here, like some they messaged me this. Oh, I am your mother's. Yeah. So yeah,
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's very interesting. And I was
mhm.
wondering if I have hidden relatives here as well that I might look into after. But
Yeah,
anyway,
maybe.
last question about the school journey. Now, how was it for the classes? How was your experience with the schedule, the professor, the grades, and the learning environment itself?
At first, honestly, it was overwhelming because like in the very first day, the syllabus was all presented, and then all the deadlines, the due, and knowing that I have my daughter with me since day one. So yeah, I just prayed, and everything went into, you know. So I didn't plan working to so that I can concentrate on my studies. But then I don't know, I just got hired like before, yeah, like a month, and then it made it made me like, oh, what's this? Like doing schedule a lot more harder because I need to divide it from work, school, then my family. But then yeah, at during my first sem, I have 5 days of school, so it was really like every day. So I
Mhm.
cannot really work. So at least I'm having like 8 to 16 hours per week before. But then come winter, I only had this 5 courses in 2 days, so I have more time to work. So then pandemic came. Yeah, it was at first, of course, we'll be like overwhelmed with everything, but then as day goes by, you'll get used to it. Like now that I finished my studies, I'm really bored. Like I used to do rush, all of it like rush, but then yeah, I get used to it. But yeah, I'm happy I finished it.
That's true. Congratulations to us. Oh,
Wow.
yes, finally, and we'll come back to you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so our next topic will be the study permit application itself. But before I move on to putting all our guests together in the screen, I'd also like to share my experience. So my background in the Philippines, I took up nursing, but like what I mentioned, I did not practice it. I'm not a registered nurse as well. And so my background was in the call center industry, so in the business process outsourcing. I started as a call center representative and then moved up the way. I moved up the ladder to a management position. So I guess that's what I used to be able to apply for the business administration and to defend my SOP as well, just to see where, just to connect those. To just to connect the program to my experience. So yeah, I focused it on that and business administration also just because it's general, whatever career path you might want to look into. If you have a business administration diploma, that makes it easier for you to move around, I guess. And with Bow Valley College, they have different majors. So in the first year, you take up the common courses, the general courses, and in the second year, that's where you would have to decide which major. So that's what attracted me, because when I was applying for a program, I wasn't really sure of what my career would be. So I wanted to start it that way. And then why did I choose Bow Valley College? We were just eyeing for Alberta just because I already have my relatives here. So it was easier for me because I was planning to take in my family. So we wanted to make sure that we have the support. And we also use them as sponsors. So that's why we moved into this province. And I was looking into State and Bow Valley College. So I guess the main deciding factor would be the location, because Bow Valley College is situated in downtown area and it's accessible by train. And when you land into the City Hall station, just a few steps after you get out of the train is already the door of the Bow Valley College. So it's quite easy for me. And tuition, compared to other colleges here in Alberta, or maybe compared to State, because I was only looking into those institutions anyway. Bow Valley College is a whole lot cheaper. And then admission process, I made a vlog about this, but my admission process was fairly quick. From the time that I submitted my documents, I got my admission letter in about 3 weeks. And then I paid the confirmation fee, and after about a week or two, I was able to get the letter of acceptance already that I used for my study permit application. So school journey, like what they've said, I can say that it's easier here in Canada. And also the passing rate here, I don't know if this is for all colleges and universities, but with Bow Valley College, the passing rate is 50%. So it's a whole lot easier than in the Philippines, where I guess the passing rate would be 75. So here, as long as you gain 50, you pass it. And there's, aside from assignments, research, although it really took a lot of time in terms of researches, sometimes they will ask you to submit 10 to 15 pages worth of assignment, and you have a couple of weeks to do that. There's presentations, are also more on communication with, with teams, with other students. And yeah, my class schedule, I only had 2 days of schedule. That's what I always choose, Monday and Wednesday, the whole day, so that I have other days for work, for taking care of my children, and just trying to rest. School environment, as I've mentioned, there's a lot of international students here. Well, not really in the sense of international students, but also as Canada is a multicultural country, so there's people from all over the world that you really would not feel that you are out of place. And there's lots of Filipinos here as well. So I think adjustment really won't be a hard time, because you'll have support from friends, from professors, and from other international students here as well. So there, and now we are moving on to the second part of the program. We will be discussing study permit application. So for this one, I'll have all of my guest speakers on screen to make it more interactive. And we will be talking about their application for the study permit. And some of them have dependents, open work permit, student permit for minors, and tourist visa for minors as well. We'll look into how they defended their application, what documents did they submit, what requirements did they have to obtain before submitting the application, how much they paid, how much was their proof of funds, and if they had any refusals, what did they do to rectify that, and did they get the approval at the end of it? Okay, all right, so I'll add everyone back in.
Hello.
Hi.
I think you're on mute, Aryan and Jason.
Yes
Yeah.
po.
Okay, so let's just wait for Agatha. I think she'll be back after 2 minutes. So are you all in PGWP status?
Yes.
I'm in the bridging work permit because I'm waiting for my permanent resident application.
Hmm. Which path did you take for PR?
The Canadian work CEC.
Oh, CC. I think it will only be done by 4 months because we also take that route, CEC, and after 4 months we got our PR.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
quite faster. It's quite faster than other stream.
Hopefully that should be the case.
Yeah, because when we applied, it was during pandemic as well. So hopefully.
Yeah.
So the next thing that we're gonna talk about is study permit application, I believe. Yeah. So let's just wait for Agatha, and she's back, and she's gone again. Hi, Agatha.
Hi, I am back. I'm
Hello.
sorry, my laptop screwed me this time. So it went into shutdown mode, and now it's updating. So I it's good that I have another on standby. Yeah. So okay, so let's proceed with. I'm not sure if I have everything on cam already. So I will have Diane as well. Okay, so next is we'll go through the study permit application itself. So I want to start with Abby again for the study permit application. Now you have a dependent. Did you apply at the same time, or did you wait for your approval before you applied for your husband?
Yeah. So for me, I don't have any dependent. I do have OWP. So yeah, we applied together. Like it was during the same process. We just applied together because I think it's better for us rather than one will go first.
I see. Okay. And so in terms of the requirements that you have, if I may ask, for I think the most important factor here, one of the most important factors would be the proof of funds. Were you able to meet the required criteria of 10 plus 4, or did you have sponsors to complement that funds?
In yeah, in our case, I applied under student direct stream. So basically, I don't need any proof of funds. It's just that we have to pay 1 year worth of tuition fee and 10,000 guaranteed investment certificate and IELTS. That's it. So we really didn't provide any proof of funds. It's just that we followed whatever's needed for SDS.
Oh, okay, I see. I think that's an interesting question because most applicants who want to apply for SDS are also asking if they still have to provide bank documents, bank certificates. So in that case, you did not present any more bank certificates, bank statements, pay slips from work.
Personally, I did not. Yeah, I did not present any of it. But for my OWP, he has to because it's quite separate entity, right? SDS is only for student, but for OWP, he has to present, I think, 4,000 Canadian dollar during those time.
So did he have exactly that 4,000, or did you supplement that with sponsors as well, or did you have any sponsors at all?
We don't have any sponsors. It was just, I think, 4,000 Canadian dollar. That's the only thing we presented for OWP because we just don't want to make it too complicated.
I think yes. Depends on the situation, yes, because I do see a couple of applicants being refused just because they have made it more complicated by adding in sponsors, by adding in a whole lot of our other documents that are not really required in the first place. Now SES. So this SES, for those of those viewers that do not know, this is a type of study pathway that you can go through that makes it somehow an expedited process. But in consideration of the COVID-19 pandemic, I think we cannot really rely on the time frame for SDS at the moment because some SDS applications are taking longer than the regular stream. But in your case, Abby, when you applied for that, how long did it take you to get your approval?
It only took about 30 days, 1 month to be exact. Yeah, because it was kind of fast before. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And did you go for the GIC? So this is one of the main requirements for GIC. Which bank did you go to?
I went for Scotiabank, and then in the Philippines, I applied GIC through BPI.
Okay, all right. How was that process for you? I went to SDS as well. I did not really have lots of trouble with it, but looking into some of the groups, they've had trouble in opening a GIC account, looking into which branch is able to transfer the funds over to them. So what was your experience like?
I think it just went smoothly because what I did is I asked I think there was this group, hashtag DIY student permit, I believe. So I just asked which bank they did applied for GIC, and then we just went in one bank that were really close to us. And I think the person that we talked to is quite familiar with the process, and yeah, it went really smoothly.
Okay, all right. And then after you got your approval, Abby, did you start January 2019 or?
Yeah, I did January 2019.
Yes. And what month did you arrive here in Canada?
December 5th, 2018.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's good. I think that's all that we need to know first for the study permit application. So you got the approval right away. How did you defend? This is, I think, a common question for most applicants. How did you defend that your husband will be coming with you?
Uh, I think my husband made his own letter of intent. It's not really part of my study plan or SOP. So I think my husband said like he needs me. Basically what my husband says in the letter of intent is I need him physically to be there because it's hard to be alone here in Canada, right? So basically it works around those reasons. Like I just want him to be here.
That's true. Did he mention anything about working here in Canada at all, or did you just leave it all out?
I think he did mention that it's a great opportunity to work here in Canada because he will gain experience, Canadian experience to be exact, that he can use when he go back in the Philippines.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you so much, Abby. That's I think that's all the questions that I have for the study permit application in terms of your experience. So I'll move on to Jason. Jason, so you applied as a solo applicant. Now, how was the experience for you? Did you also go with agency this time?
Yeah, so I went through the agency, but basically I have the same experience with Abigail, SDS, GIC, and everything else, minus the family application. So the whole application, from the time the application was submitted to the immigration, it just took around 6 days for me to get the student approval. So it was that fast. The only problem was the long wait time for the school. So
For the school, yes. Wow, that was actually, I think, one of the fastest applications that we've seen. 6 days is really fast. Yeah,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. I remember submitting it Tuesday and I received the approval Monday the next week. So
Uh-huh. And how early did you come here to Canada before your classes?
I arrived here last April 2018. So it's like 4 months before the class started. So I went to Vancouver, went all around Alberta with my relatives just to get a feel of the place.
Okay, and that kind of interests me as well, because that's also a common question that I see in the groups. They're asking if they can come into Canada really earlier than their supposed study date. So did the border officers ask you why you are entering Canada 4 months before your classes?
Not really. They haven't really asked anything related to the studies. So they just checked my visa, my passport, and then provided me to work with a student permit straight away. So I think I was quite lucky back then.
I think yes, that can be a factor as well because I think we just recently the restrictions have been more restricted. There have been
I know,
you
yeah.
know tight rules and regulations in the past few years. So I guess I would also share with our audience because some of them are asking if how is the border process. They think that it's actually I think it's more tighter. The security is tighter back home in the Philippines because when I tried leaving the Philippines, they really had me take out all of my documents, all the documents of my children, even the return tickets, study permits, letter of acceptance, anything that they can actually ask, they did ask for. But when I came here to Canada, even in the port of entry, they would just only ask for my passport and not even the approval letter. So I think yes, for those asking if what documents they would need to require, just make sure that you have everything handy, even the proof of funds. But it would depend on the officer on what documents they would like to see. But mainly it would be passport because I think when they get your passport, they will already see your information. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jason, and I'll move on to next up to our next guest speaker, Ariane. So this is an interesting topic for Ariane because Ariane has dependents here with her in Canada, and I also remember that you did not come here to Canada all at the same time. So could you share your experiences with us?
Um, with my experience before, it was only me who applied for the student permit because I lodged around, I think, February. I lodged my application around February, and then when I got approved on March 2018, um, that's the time when I also lodged the application of my husband at I think it was April. Yeah, April 2018. And then he got approved um May 2018. So it's only like 30 days process. So when we got approved, we came here together, and then after a year, we lodged the application of my kids because since we don't have any relatives here, we don't know what to expect. We don't know the place yet. So we came here to check the place, adjust, and yeah, because since we don't know what to like, we don't have any sure jobs yet, so I think it's best for us to leave the kids back home before, like, applying them. So when we came here, we launched the kids application on 2019. I think that was May, May 2019. So they got approved June of 2019. So I went back home on December last no 2019 to pick up my kids. So they were here December of 2019.
Okay. Did you apply for them at the same time? So two kids in the same application already?
Yes, two kids, the same application.
Okay. All right. And both were approved, right? So no refusals at all.
No, no refusals. Thank God.
Okay. That's good. Now, what documents did you present for your children? Did you also have to request a letter of acceptance for them for their studying here, or any other documents that you have submitted?
Uh, yes, we submitted a letter of acceptance from Calgary. What is that called? Catholic District, Calgary. I don't know. It's CSSD, the Calgary Board of Education here, but it's in a Catholic department. So we emailed the office who is in charge with the admission of students, international students. So when I emailed them, they just asked me to provide my uh, secure my what to call this letter of acceptance from Bow Valley College, and my proof of enrollment. So I think I submitted the ongoing the registered courses before. So I think that's it. And then the birth certificates of the kids, and yeah, I think that's all. I submitted all those through email, and then I think it after 1 week or 2 weeks, I received the letter of acceptance from them.
Mhm. Thank you, Ariane. Now, I'm curious to know, because for children, so all your children are coming here to Canada. What did you use as home ties in that case? How did you defend that? As a student, we have to give the impression that we are going to come back to the Philippines after we do our studies. But in this case, if your whole family is already here, how did you defend that in your application that you're still coming back?
Because before, when I applied for the kids, I still have I have a titled lot back home, so I presented that as my ties, And then we also have our car that was named to my husband. So we just presented our properties. So I think they consider that as our home base, and also my family back home as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And both are on study permit, right? So both of them are in school age.
Yes, both of them are in school age. The eldest one is she was 13 years old, I think, when she came here, and then the youngest is she was 4 years old when she came here.
Wow, okay. And I'll just have to ask a little bit of question about that. How was their schooling journey here in Canada? So as minors here in Canada, did they have a hard time adjusting to the school as well, or how was it for them?
For my eldest child, which is she's already in a teenage uh already a teenager, so she was having a hard time adjusting because she's already like since before in the Philippines, her support system is her peers. So it was hard for her to adjust here because she's like, what if I will be like, some in movies, um the very common problem in the school is bullying. So she was so scared of, because if you're Asian, even though I already explained to her that there's also a lot of Filipinos in here, especially here in Calgary, and the school where I enrolled her, like 99% of the population there are Filipinos. So she still doesn't understand. So when she came here, and then thank God the school was very they're very welcoming, they're very hospitable, and they welcome my daughter like open arms. There's a lot of Filipino people, a lot of Filipino students. So in during her first day, I think they gave her a gift, like a welcome gift for her, and they also gave her like a body. I don't know, they gave her a student who can be with her the whole time, so that she won't adjust very hard. So yeah, overall she adjusted very well after like maybe 3 days. She already have like friends.
That was fast, to be honest. Yes. I know that kids are very resilient. With my kids as well, it just took them about a couple of days and they were already integrated into the environment. But have you ever asked your children if they have compared the learning environment here and in the Philippines, which schooling would they prefer?
Can you repeat the question? It was choppy. Agatha, I can't hear anything. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
All right. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what's happening to my laptop. But yes, thank you so much, Aryan. So that's it for my questions for now. And I'll move on to our next guest. So I'll move on to Kat. Okay. So Kat, since you are just a solo applicant, it's gonna take a little bit shorter for you. Now, did you do a DIY or did you have an agency to process your papers?
Honestly, I have an agency who helped me with my process. However, it's actually just me who did everything, starting with the communication with Bow Valley up until to the visa application. It's all my job, because I was actually the one who did all the documentations and even communications with the International Department of Bow Valley College. So I would say I still did DIY, and yeah, I did DIY for my solo application.
Okay. And did you go with the regular pathway or the SDS?
Yes, so I did the regular pathways. So I didn't have any. Actually, I didn't have any assets because I was single that time, and I really totally don't have any assets. What I just have is the stamps on my passport, because I've been going around Southeast Asia, and that's the only actually the only thing that helped me with my application. And then I have my parents and my aunt who supported me financially.
Okay. And how about your home ties? Did you have any properties, assets, any of those at all?
I actually don't have any properties at all, even car. My car was named under my mom, so I totally don't have any properties. The only home ties that I have is my parents.
Okay, all right. That makes sense too. How about your proof of funds? So as we know, for a student, we are required to have 10,000 for the cost of living allowance for 1 year. Were you able to complete that, or did you have sponsors to complement that amount?
I told you I have actually zero on my, I think maybe I have few thousands on my bank account that time, because I came from different countries on that year. In 2018, I went to several countries. I went on boards cruise tour, and then I did domestic travels as well. So I was like zero totally, and so luckily I have my parents and my aunt who supported me financially. So what I can say to all our viewers: don't be afraid if you don't have any money on your account, as long as you have your financial, what do you call this, sponsors. Assure them that you won't be getting any money from them. It will still stay on their bank. It will just they just need to provide their certificate of employment, their bank statement, and their bank certificate. Nothing else. They don't have to provide you the money that they're asking. It's just their bank account.
Okay, and if I may ask, Kath, where are your sponsors located? Those sponsors that you use for the application
They're all in the Philippines with me.
in the Philippines. Okay, all right. And were the documents also notarized, or just the letter would be fine with their signature?
Yes, it was notarized. Yes, it was notarized, but the one from coming from the bank, it was not notarized, but it is coming from the bank branch manager.
Okay, thank you. And my last question, I guess, how much did you pay for to Bow Valley College for your tuition before submitting your application? Did you pay one sem or just a confirmation fee, or did you pay for one whole year already?
So I initially paid for the registration fee, which is I think $150, and then after I received the letter of admission, I paid another around 1,500 Canadian dollars, and then before I started going to Canada, I paid the whole first semester, and then for the second semester, I work for it. I can probably say now that I work for it. So the only money that my sponsor provided me was my first semester, and for the rest of my live expenses and my second semester tuition cost, it came from what I did for my part-time and full-time on the summer.
Okay, that is very interesting. And I think most of our viewers would like to know that. A lot of them have been asking if they can support themselves once they come here to Canada, because most of them really cannot complete the required number of funds, especially if you have a family here. So what they do is they have these sponsors that complement the amount. But in reality, once they come here, they will depend on the jobs. And so they're asking if they will be able to pay off the tuition and even pay off the accommodation, transportation, and expenses. So we'll look into that further once we get into the job experience. So thank you, Kat, for sharing your experience. And for our last guest speaker for the study permit application, I'd like to speak to Diane. So Diane, you also have your own family here. You have your husband and you have your children here on study permit as well. So could you tell us what your experience was? Did you apply at the same time or did you do it one by one?
I applied separately. Like first was my application, and then after 2 weeks I got approved. And then, but while waiting for the approval, I was completing my husband's documents. And then right after I got the approval, I lodged my husband's application, and he got approved like it, 28 days, I think, or lesser. And then when he got approved, I also lodged my daughter's application like 5 days after, because I've been completing the documents as I am waiting for the approval. And yeah, that's how I do it. And the documents are just like same, especially for the proof of funds, for the properties. I just add like a little amount of money when I lodge my husband's, and then when I lodge my kid. So there's like additional funds left, yeah, but just a little bit of hundred, thousands, not that much.
Okay, so that's an interesting situation as well because you did it one by one. So I'd like to know for your solo application first, what did you tell them? Did you tell them that your husband is coming after your application, or did you give the impression that they will be left in the Philippines and you're going to come back for them after your studies?
I stated that he'll wait for me in the Philippines, and yeah, that I will come back home after studies for my husband and my daughter. That's what I stated. And then when I applied for him, he did like he stated on his letter of intent that he cannot allow me to be here alone. Like we've been together for like 10 years. So starting without him might be hard for me. And he knows that I'm so emotional. And yeah, he stated that. And then his home ties was my daughter. And yeah,
Okay. Yes.
remember when I lodged my daughter, my parents did their letter of intent. I mean, yeah, they like they wrote to the visa officer after I submitted two, right, affidavit daughter through my parents, and they also did a letter like her parents with her. So yeah, that's what I
Okay,
did.
and in terms of any properties that you have presented, I know you have a business, so I'm pretty sure that you put that as assets back home ties as well. But aside from that, did you have any more added to the application to strengthen it because it's a family application, which makes it harder to be approved?
Yeah, I added our house and lot, the title of the lot, and the house, the building permit of the house, and then the businesses under my name, and the car that is under my name. Yeah, and my insurances back home. I also
Okay.
use that.
All right. And how about Diane for the proof of funds? So did
Mhm.
you all complete that on yourself? You have the whole amount on your bank accounts, or did you have any sponsors here? Sorry, sponsors back home that you have positioned to help you out during your study journey?
Yeah, the needed funds for my application, like the tuition fee, 1 year, 2 years tuition fee, and then the living expenses. It was all in my in our joint account, me and my husband. And I also, aside from that, I submitted an affidavit of support and I attached my parents' properties and bank accounts and their insurances as well. Yeah,
Okay, thank you. And for your application, it was actually very fast. Did you go through the regular pathway or the SDS too?
it was regular. So
Wow.
I was shocked as well. Like I think 12 days or 10 days, and I got approved. It was so fast.
It was actually you
Mhm.
can't really determine if
Mhm.
it's best to you for to apply for a regular pathway or a study pathway because I don't think we can actually check which the visa officer processes the applications because in
Mhm.
my experience we have a group on Facebook so sometimes people who apply would post when they applied and when they got approved and I've
Mhm.
noticed that there were a couple of approvals that were approved earlier than those that have applied first. So I'm not sure really how they do the application processes. It depends on the location or if there's any prioritization involved. But yes, so people can also take that into consideration. And I guess right now with SDS, timelines are not being met because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So if you would like to, just apply through the regular pathway, there are also approvals that have been faster than the SDS. So that's also something that prospective students may take into consideration. Okay, so thank you, Diane. And now we are done with the study permit application. If any of our viewers have any questions about the study permit application in general or specific guests, you may do that in a comment box and we'll ask them. Okay. Now, next is this is the most awaited part of everybody. I guess most of us is the work experience here in Canada. So we'll talk about what is the current work of our students and after their graduation as well if they have already found a job on postgraduate work permit that is a skilled job that will enable them to be able to apply for permanent residency. So I'd like to start off with Abby. So Abby, what was your work during your studies and what was and I know you haven't finished yet, so what is your current work?
When I first came here in Canada, my first job is in campus. So I was a student caller in SAIT. So I think I work in SAIT for about 5 months or 4 months. Then after that one, uh, I quit because I feel like it's not meant for me because I don't have any experience with call center and it's quite hard to be honest. Like because I have to call all alumni and ask for funds for the school, so it was kind of toxic and I know it's not for me. Then what I did is after working as a student caller, I applied in a retail job, which is coach in Chinook Center. So yeah, luckily, even though I don't have any retail experience, I was able to get in, and until now, I'm still working in Coach. I actually started with them October 2019, but prior to that, I had an opportunity to become a summer student in my husband's company, which is Rosen Canada, and luckily now I'm working with Rosen as a permanent employee.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's actually a very good experience. Now, I'd like to know, Abby, did you have a hard time, or before you actually got your first job, how long did it take for you to be able to land that? Did you happen to have applied to numerous jobs before getting an interview, and how long was the wait time before you get the interview and the job offer?
If I can remember it correctly, probably it only took me about three weeks or a month because at first like I wasn't really looking I mean, I wasn't that serious looking for a job because I'm just checking like if I'm just checking to myself like if I am already adjusted with a school and stuff like that. So I wasn't really looking, but then I'm sending a lot of resumes. I mean, I'm sending a lot of job applications in Indeed, and I think the last thing I did is to apply in our campus because I found out there's an opportunity for student caller. And I mean, just for everyone's knowledge, if you are working in campus, you don't have any, I mean, your hours is not limited as compared if you're working off campus. So I was like, I think this is a great opportunity for me to try for that. So it only took me a month to get that job, luckily.
Wow, yes. I think that's one of the great experiences that I've heard here in Canada in terms of landing a job. Because I have spoken to some here that have had a hard time trying to find a job that they've been trying to apply for 2 months, 3 months, but with no success. So I'm not sure if that's limited to office jobs or also retail jobs, because there's lots of retail jobs here in terms of the fast food industry. So most of those that are asking what type of jobs are available here, there are survival jobs here, what we call them. Most that I've seen are for the Tim Hortons, McDonald's, Walmart, what else? Dairy Queen. If you come into a mall, I was actually very surprised and very happy at the same time, because when I went into the Chinook Mall, the food court, most of them are Filipino employees. So yes, which kind of made me proud, because these are our kababayans who are able to land a job here. So for those who are asking, once you come here, it's very unusual to expect yourself to find an office job, especially if you are a professional back home in the Philippines. So sometimes we have to set our expectations that when we come here, it's not going to be the same as back home. Let's say if you are in the management position, supervisor position. So when you come here, they say that your experience back home, whoever you are, does not really matter, because we're all equal here. So everyone, each of us will, I think, get a taste of having those survival jobs. But yes, there are lots of jobs here even during the pandemic. From what I've seen, being in a recruitment position, we still have a lot of jobs available. So you just don't have to be very picky. Whatever job's available for you, just try it out, because that's where you gain Canadian work experience. That will be very impressive on your resume, and you learn the skills of being integrated into the culture as well. So a couple of tips. A website that I recommend is indeed.ca. And it also helps to go store from store, because I think that's what my husband did. And he got a call right away after that for an interview. He went store to store, Tim Hortons, McDonald's. We printed out a couple of resumes, and then he just went out a couple of days and just passed it on. And he got a response for that style, rather than applying online. And also make connections, make networks with Filipinos here. Sometimes they can refer you to their own jobs. Yes. Okay, so thank you, Abby. And I'll move on to Jason. So Jason, what was your job when you were a student, and what is your current job after graduation?
Sorry. Yeah, I was a grocery clerk in one of the groceries back in Calgary. I That was the only job. That was the only employment that I applied for, and luckily I got accepted within a week. So, and I worked there until I graduated from Bow Valley. Right now, I'm working as an admin assistant in one of the hotels here in Lethbridge, and at the same time, I'm also working in the health industry. So I have two jobs now, and it gets quite busy despite the pandemic. So I'm quite thankful for that. Application here in Lethbridge. That's one of the things why I move here in Lethbridge. Competition is not really something that you should worry about here. There's few people with lots of jobs. So application was easy. Right after I moved here, I got a job within 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, so basically all every job that I applied for, I got hired. So I just have to pick whichever job I was going to. So
Wow. How is it working two jobs? How is your experience with that? I mean, how like the schedule? Do your employers work well with the other schedule, or do you request for that? And I know employers here have the duty to accommodate. So I just want to ask about that because back home in the Philippines, if you are employed, you are contracted with that company, so you're only allowed to have one, unless of course it's self-employment. So here it's legal if you work here, you can have two or jobs or three jobs as long as you can. So how was it for you with two jobs?
well, I work full time in the hotel and casual in the health industry. So the health industry or the health facility uh, always gets me into schedules and then gives me the schedules in advance, like for 2 months, and I pass on those schedules to the hotel so that they could accommodate my schedules. But sometimes they overlap, and then for example, I work AM in the hotel, and then I work PM in the other job. So sometimes I work 16 hours night PMs. So it gets kind of tiring sometimes, but there are times when I get 2 day offs and I get by with that.
I can imagine. I mean, and I can also imagine how huge your taxes are with two jobs
Yeah.
combined. Yeah. Okay. Now we have a couple of questions here. Since I'm speaking with you, Jason, right now, there is a question. What colleges are there in Lethbridge? Lethbridge.
There are two colleges here. One is University of Lethbridge. The second one is the Lethbridge College. So those are basically the two schools that you could apply for. But I don't know the details of how to get there. It just so happened that my agency didn't have ties with both schools, so they offered me the one in Calgary instead.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jason. I hope that answers your question, Dexter. And we have another question from Dexter. Is it necessary to look for a job related to your program to be PR? I guess so. Yes, we're not immigration consultants, but I would say that for you to be able to have that job experience counted on your experience, it should be related to that. Another question from Dexter. I think I'll send this over to Abby. How about business HR resources job? So Abby is working in an HR job right now. How is the competition in that industry?
In my case, it's quite different because, like what I've said, I was a summer student in that company. So basically, I really didn't apply for that. It's just, it happens like there was a vacant position and they just asked me if I want to go for that position. So I can't really pick for other HR job, but I've heard like from my friends or classmates, I think right now, to be honest, like they're having a hard time applying for a very specific HR job because, as you know, HR positions are quite limited in a company. So, I mean, you cannot have 10 HR associates in one company, right? So it's really quite challenging. So it's really important if you do have connections or if if you know someone who is working in a company and you try to make friends with them, I think it will be easier for you to find job related to HR. But right now, to
Okay.
be honest, it's really tough.
I would say yes, it will be. And I can relate that over to another guest as well. Kath finished Human Resources Certificate. So let's ask how her experience was with the HR industry. So Kath, hi. We'd like to know as well, what was your job while in school and what is your current job now that you have finished your program in HR?
So I have actually multiple jobs when I was still studying. I have like two or three jobs when I was studying. How, um, employers, they are very accommodating with your schedule. Even if you only ask them for 5 hours or 10 hours, they will accommodate you as long as you finish your job. So I initially worked with as the liquor store clerk. So I actually, when I arrived in Canada, I arrived December 2018, and I got a job offer, um, like in after a week of finding a job, and but then I have to wait for my start date before I have my first day of job. So I have to start on January 4th, and then after I did a liquor clerk, I also did work in a pizza store, and then I work in a hotel, and again I work in another hotel, and then and then after I graduated, it was really hard to find a job with human resources field, because it's really tough. As Abigail mentioned, there's only a few companies who will need human resources, and actually here in Canada um, with those companies, not all companies have HR, unlike in the Philippines. So most companies here, employers do their payroll, do their own HR things. So it's really hard to find an HR job. But luckily, I got a good job. So I'm currently an assistant director of admission in one of the college here in Calgary. And I'm very happy because it is, I think, NOC A. It's a managerial job. It's a good position, and it's a good pay. So even though at first I was like back home I was in a managerial position, and when I arrived in Canada, I was just working as a liquor store, and I was like, why did I come to Canada? So I have those questions. And of course, as what Agatha mentioned, it will take time for you to be able to find a good paying job. But those surviving jobs are really not that bad. It will help you a lot, especially with your finances here in Canada.
You're on mute, Agatha.
Sorry, is it audible now? Okay, great. Thank you. So I shifted to another computer. So Kath, in terms of the budget as well, I'd like to go back to what you mentioned that you were able to pay off for your own tuitions while working here in Canada. So how were you able to manage that if we have the restrictions of 20 hours per week during classes?
Well, of course, you have to follow the 20 hours a week, but once it's summer or once it is a pandemic break, you can do any hours. I think 40 hours, and so for that 40 hours, for like 4 months of 40 hours, you will, I believe, I can say that you will save a lot of money for that 40 hours a week in 4 months, and that
Mhm.
will be sufficient for your second semester if you are not the person who's like spending a lot. But I'm the person who loves spending a lot in malls and going to a lot of places, but still I was able to manage saving for my tuition fee while I'm traveling to BC or any other places here in Alberta.
Okay, great, great. Thank you so much. That's actually good to know, Kath. And are you on your way to permanent residency right now? What is your status after studies?
So I'm actually waiting for my PR right now. My application, I have already sent my application for PR, and because of pandemic, everything is so slow. So I still have to wait. So praying for fast and a smooth approval.
Mhm. Okay, great. Thank you, Kath. We're also hoping for that. And also, I'd like to go back to Abigail because Abigail is already a permanent resident in Canada. So just please share a brief background of how you were able to obtain permanent residency while still on your student journey.
Okay, because like I've shared with other vlogs I've had, originally we were eyeing for express entry. I think it was back in 2018. We wanted to apply for express entry under federal skilled worker. However, we were lacking 2 points. That's the time that we decided that I need to go for student pathway so that my husband can work under Canadian experience. And what happened to us is I became a permanent resident because of my husband. Because after a year, he actually gained Canadian experience, which helped us which helped us to gain higher points to be invited. So I think it's only a matter of 1.5 year we're in, we became permanent residency, and it's because of my husband. And
Mhm.
so if you happen to have OWP, it's really, it will really help us boost your application. It will help boost your application.
Okay, so yes, that's true because even though you are a student permit holder, your OWP can also apply on his own as an express entry,
Mhm.
and since you are a spouse, you're part of the application as well. Now,
Mhm.
how long did it take you once you submitted the permanent residency application? How many months until the actual approval?
Since we applied under Canadian Experience class, it only took us about 4 months because we got the invitation to apply last year February. Yeah, I think it was February last year, and all our documents are ready because even before we came here in Canada, we have all the documents. We prepared it, even the IELTS, even the educational assessment. Everything is set. So after we got the invitation to apply, we submitted 1 week later for applications for permanent residency. And after 4 months, by June, we got our permanent residency. Despite being pandemic, I think it's still pretty quick.
It was, to be
Mhm.
honest. 'Cause I know even without the pandemic, there are a couple of PR applications
Mhm.
that are taking longer than usual. So thank you for sharing that experience. So, once you are already here, guys, just take one step to come here to Canada. There are lots of other, pathways that will be open to you once you are already here in Canada. Okay, so thank you, Abby, and I'll move on to our next guest speaker. So Aryan and Diane, we are very excited to know about your work experience here, and as well as a couple of them are asking for budgeting tips for families. So I'll start off with Aryan. What was your job when you were a student?
When I started schooling, because we had, I think, the orientation in school before, so there's a problem with my permit before. Um, there's the condition that they gave me is that there's no um, condition that I can work 20 hours off and on campus. So when I learned that my permit has this issue, I uh, I applied again. I called IRCC, and then so I applied for amendment of my permit. So it took me like a month to receive the amended document. So when I received the document, I applied immediately through Indeed. So I was hired in Mr. Pretzels. So that was my first job when I started working here. But I only worked there for I think 2 to 3 months only, and then after that, I focused on my studies. So, but after the first semester, I continued applying again through Indeed. So my target before was the jobs that are related to my studies. So um, I think May of 2019, I got hired with a job that is in line with my studies. So currently it's still my job till now. So I am working as a residential disability worker in one of the like agencies here in Calgary supporting disabled clients.
Mm-hmm.
So now
Okay.
I'm already working as full time since I
Wow.
got no since yeah I'm full time since COVID thing start on March I think or May, because I think before they allowed international student to, as long as you're an essential worker, they allowed you to work full time as long as you're an essential worker. So yeah, up until now I'm still working as a full time.
Mhm. Okay, great. Thank you, Arian. And if I may ask as well, since you have your open now, your spouse here, how was his work experience as well? How was the job hunting process, and what is his current job at the moment?
When we came here, since it's really hard actually to search for a job if you don't have any connections at all. So applying in Indeed is like some cases there it's very easy to look for a job, but some cases also it's very hard, especially if you don't have any connections here. So but when we came here, I think since I have issues with my permit before, so we were like going back and forth to Calgary airport before, I remember. And then we were like asking about since they have immigration there, we are like asking question about um will I do with my permit and stuff like that. And then we met a Filipino guy there who's working as a utility. So we just ask for any job vacancies in Calgary airport, and then that's it. We just my husband went to the office there and then applied for a job. So after three days, he got the job. He started the job already
Mhm.
through the referral of that Filipino guy. I forgot his name already.
Okay, thank you, Ariane. That's true. You
Yeah.
know, really have to make connections once you're here because it's like you're starting a new life here and you're starting to gain friends. Now, Ariane, I'd like to know, as a family, how much is your expenses on a monthly basis? So, in terms of accommodation, groceries, utilities, and car insurances.
So with the expenses for a family of four, because our rental is in a month we're paying 1,250 excluding internet. So we are paying I think $70 for internet connection, and then for the car insurance, for our car insurance we already paid for a year, so that was like 2,400 2,400 for the whole year. And then we're not paying monthly for the car because we just bought it through online, and it's I think it's already second hand. So that I think that's better because it's you don't have to pay monthly or bi-weekly whatsoever. So yeah, we only paid 2,400 for the car insurance for the whole year. And then for the food for a family of four, my budget is 500 a month, $500. And then for cell phone, which is me and my husband and my daughter, three of us, uh, I'm paying 200 for cell phone bill. So what else? I think that's it.
Ariane,
Rental car.
For your for your accommodation expense, the 1,250, is that for a room, a basement, an apartment, or a full house in that case?
No, we are renting on the main level of the house. It has two bedrooms. Yeah, so just the main level
Mm-hmm.
with two
Okay, all right.
bedrooms.
Okay, I'm actually surprised with your grocery budget.
Even I.
I
I'm also surprised.
mean, yes, I don't know how you managed to. I mean,
That's
how
only
about you
my
guys?
estimate. That's only my estimate actually, but sometimes we go over 500. So because I only do groceries like every 2 weeks, so sometimes my grocery is like 200, 250. It depends because my children are not they're not very, hindi sila palakain.
Okay, maybe that's why. Yes, I was shocked
Yeah.
because it's
But
hard
with
to. I don't know how much do you guys spend on grocery per
with
month?
us, actually, it's just the two of us, my boyfriend and I, and we spent like more than 500, like 1,000 for food and groceries.
Same thing.
Wow.
And for the
Yeah,
cell
we
phone,
really kind of spend a lot
yeah, and for the
for
cell
food.
phone bills, we're paying just for the two of us, we're paying like 200, so 100 each. And yours is like for four of you, you're paying 200, so that's a good savings for you.
Yeah, I wish I can
Yeah.
budget our expenses like that. Yes. So, going to Aryan. Aryan, you also are a family. So, we want to know how much your expenses are so that we can look and compare, and also what your job was during a student, and your. I know we still haven't proceeded with the postgraduate work permit. So, just tell us something about your job as well as your husband's job, if you may.
Diane.
Oh, is that me? Okay,
Yes.
you said Aryan. Okay, so my first originally my husband me and my husband's plan was I will not work until like I finish the first year of school. Like I should work during academic break because the kid is like she's alone for like she's her school is like 3 hours per day, and then no one will take care of her. And then I inquired on the day home or services, yeah, day home, and they told me that it's 600 per month when they're the ones who gonna pick her up in school. But then I didn't know that I applied it in immediately. I just got this call like from Mr. Pretzels. Aryan also worked there. Like I didn't know. I click it. I applied, and then like I try applying on in Indeed like third week after the first day of school. So it is around September 20 something, and then I receive a call come September 25. If I remember it's 25 that I have interview the next day. So I went to Chinook Mall. The owner of Mr. Pretzels was the one who interviewed me. And then I started working September 29 because I need to do the food and the Alberta Health something, the training for food safety handling. And then yeah, I started working September 29. At first I'm doing the max 20 hours because they need to train me. And then yeah, I work with them, and until now I'm still with them. And yeah, my husband's first work was like he started his work 3 days after we landed, like through referral. Like my husband's, I mean my friend's husband, like told him let's go apply in this shop, and then they went to Bianca Amor, and then on that same day he started his training like on the spot. He went there, and on that day, that's his first day. And then, yeah, he started working there. That's his first job. And then he quit after 8 months because he got a job in Walmart. And aside from that, Aryan's husband too is working in Red Lobster. So he referred my husband to be a line cook. So after like around July, we landed June 23. So around second week of July, I think, or third week of July, he got interviewed in Red Lobster and got hired. But then due to conflicting schedule, he stopped. And then he came back after like 2 weeks. He came back. He asked the manager if he can still go back. Then he said, sure. And then yeah, he talked with the manager in Bianca more like on how to do the schedule because it's conflict, and then they granted him. And yeah, I'm still with Mr. Pretzels. That's
Mm-hmm.
my
Okay.
my job.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
Diane. So I guess, yes, that's one thing that I like about here in Canada because employers are very willing to accommodate whatever your schedule is and they try
Mhm.
to make it work. So if you want to get 2 jobs, 3 jobs, that's okay. Even if you are studying, they are well aware of the conditions. Most of them, even for international students, they are well aware of how our permit works. So they work with the student as well. So Diane, with in terms of budget and expenses, so is it kind of similar to how Aryan is, or I always see your food on a daily basis. So I'm not sure how your expenses are amounting on a monthly basis.
No, because it's not like Aryan. Aryan is good in managing his her budget. Because my husband and my daughter loves fruits and vegetables.
Mhm.
We know that fruits are so expensive here, right? So like they do on their own. My husband and my daughter go to grocery store for just like vegetables and fruits like 200 for that, and juices. And every other week, and sometimes it's weekly basis because I don't know, we eat too much. I think our grocery goes to around 1,200 to 1,300 per month for grocery. Yeah, we're so, yeah, that's why I'm chubby because we love sweet.
I'd say I can relate to that, going out and considering the delivery here, DoorDash, skip the dishes.
Yeah.
So that's part of our expenses. It's easy to order online here
Mhm.
and it's within your reach. So we also amount from anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500. And just
Mhm.
because, I mean, sometimes I tell myself it's okay because you're working to live anyway. And I think I don't buy a lot of other stuff except for food. So I think that's one thing that I do to gratify whatever the situation we are in right now. And it's okay as long
Mhm.
as it's food, right? So
And
that's
that's
what
what
I
my
keep
husband
telling myself.
says. That's my money, so I can buy
Yeah.
whatever food I
Mhm.
want. So go. He's paying the bills anyway, so I don't care. Yeah.
Correct. And I think that's also one way of unwinding here in
Yeah.
Canada because there's not a lot of
Things
things
to
to
do.
do here. I don't know.
Just
So
eat.
unlike in the Philippines, so yeah, stress eating. I've gained like 10 kilos as well during the pandemic. So okay, all right. So thank you, everyone. We're done with the second to the last. So for the last segment is the question and answer portion. So I've been seeing a couple of comments from our audience. So I'd just like to do a shout out to Sheila, Joseph, Richelle, Eldan. Hi, Ken's is also here. Hani Raida, Lazan, Dexter, and we have Anonymous 123, just an ordinary girl. So what we're going to do right now is we'll just have a few minutes to be able to answer these questions. And to any one of you who has any information about the question who would like to answer it is very welcome to do so. So I will start from the top. So our first question here, so from She, madali lang ba makahanap ng part-time jobs dyan? So I guess we've already tackled that. So She, I hope we were able to answer your question. And how much is the cost of living in Calgary for the family of five? So I think we've already tackled that a little bit. But I have a family of five. So I have me, my husband, we have 3 kids. So in groceries, we're paying about 1,200 to 1,500. But again, I've mentioned that we really don't keep track of what we spend on groceries and food, so that might be excessive. You can budget it anywhere from around 500 to 1,000 depending on your preference and how you do meal planning as well. For accommodation, we pay 1,500 for the house and around 300 to 500 for the utilities combined. So I know there's still cheaper alternatives here, so you may just look into that as well. But just giving you an average of what we pay for, and yeah, phone bills. I'm paying 75 a month. My husband pays 35. So that would depend on your plan if you're getting just the SIM card or the phone as well. Car insurances, same with Arian. We were not given the opportunity to pay on a monthly basis. So you can expect that if you're new here, probably if you don't have a driving history yet, and if it's your first time getting a car insurance. So for us, we paid almost 2,600 for one whole year, and that's for an old car. We bought a 2009 Dodge Caravan, and so we settled with a second-hand car first, so that we don't have a monthly payment on top of it. Because I know others really pay a lot on their cars if they go with a brand new car and a monthly financing. So the interest was not really worth it for us to go with that direction. So yes, those are some of the costs of living for a family of five. Tuition fee is free, from what I know. For my children, we only paid the transportation fee before COVID, but since they're all online right now, we don't pay anything for tuition fees at all. For medical, for healthcare, we also don't pay any. Consultations, checkups, laboratories, that's part of the provincial healthcare if you are covered under the provincial plan. But you would have to shell out for medicines, massage, chiropractic, so anything that is covered by extended health and dental. So there's a portion that you have to pay depending on your insurance provider. So yes, now we go on to the next question. Hani Raida, I hope you were somehow able to answer your question. If you have any more questions, you can let us know. And Lazan, what colleges are there in Lethbridge? Jason answered that. Also for Dexter. And next question from She. Do you think it's possible to change program upon arriving in Canada? So I did not have this experience. Did anybody of you have any experiences in changing a program? I know, Kath, you tried the program before. Did you proceed with that or not anymore?
No, so I was actually taking human resources certificate, and then I plan to do diploma because that will give me 3 years postgraduate work permit. But I wasn't able to do that because of course the expenses and the tuition cost. So I just decided to do human resource certificate. But it would be actually easy, especially with Bow Valley. You only have to do because it will be the same courses. You just have to pay more, and you just have to apply for an extension for your visa. And yeah, so that's everything. If you want to do an extension, if you want to change your program from certificate to diploma, or from shifting other programs.
Mhm. Thank you, Kath. I think I've also seen this in Facebook groups as well. So I guess it's easier to change your program once you're here because you don't really have to go through with the study permit application again. So there's just a couple of technicalities that you have to be able to do here. So if you are thinking of changing your program, wait until you get here. I think that's one way that we can recommend because it's easier to be done that way. Okay, next question. How's the nursing program at BVC? I don't think we can answer this on point because we don't have anyone here who took up the nursing program. I think that's the LPN as well. But the closest for that would be Jason's program, Health and Human Resource Management, I guess. Do you have anything to share to that about that, Jason?
Um, well, the only thing I know about the nursing program, I think BVC only has the LPN program. And the only thing I know is that it has a very long wait list, primarily because most of the nurses back home who have the right credentials and experience are thinking of going straight into getting the LPN program. That's why, I mean, in every school which offers the LPN or the nursing program, there's gonna be a long wait time for to get into those programs. So that's why a lot of other other people or other Filipinos like me opted to get a different program with the lesser wait times and with a lesser time spending on the school. Because LPNs, I think for LPNs, you're gonna have to spend 2 to 3 years depending on your credentials. So yeah, but for the health and human services management, it's easy, to be honest. It's just that depending on your background, if you're a nurse, there would be little challenges along the way with the HR subjects or the accounting, because we didn't deal with numbers with finances during the nursing course that we have back home. So yeah.
Thank you, Jason. And also, if I may add, I think there was also a point in time when I was in school that there was a semester that they closed down applications for international students for the LPN just because there were lots of applicants already. And I think it also has something to do because the domestic students are not able to get into the program because of the huge number of applicants from overseas. So I think at one point they closed it to international students. They were only accepting for domestic applicants. So again, it would depend on the school. So you may get in touch with the school of your choice as well. They might have different regulations for the LPN or the nursing program. Okay, and next question is from just an ordinary girl. As an international student, can an RN in Philippines with no hospital experience work as PSW, care assistant? Now, I think Jason has answered this in the chat. Jason said he's currently working as a part-time HCA here. His employer accepted my RN credentials from the Philippines. Okay, and another question from Hani Raida. How would you describe the Health and Human Services Management program at BVC? Jason answered that it's okay. Challenge for me were the HR and accounting subjects because I did not have any background with those. But all in all, it was fine. Great. And then another question from Hani Raida. How would you describe BVC? It's generally a good college. I would say I recommend that you go with Bow Valley College. Actually, any of the colleges here that are designated institutions are very well recommended because of the standard of education that they have as well. But if you are pertaining to BPC, with my experience with them, they are very supportive. The classes are not really overwhelming, and they also have a class limit per I don't know, per class, around 35 to 40. So you really won't feel overwhelmed. And you have the flexibility on choosing your courses, your schedules, depending on your program as well. And if you are from the Philippines, I would say it's easier here compared to back home. Okay, so I think those are all the questions that we have. So to wrap up this session, I'd like to just go through each of our guest speakers. And if you have any parting remarks, any motivational or inspirational, any tips for prospective students or those who are already coming into Canada in the near future. So I'd like to start off with Abigail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just for everyone who wanted to be here in Canada, just just work hard and yeah, just focus on your priority. If you really want to be here, then go for it. I mean, don't compare your experience or your situation with other people because it will not really help.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Abby. And I'll move on to the next. Jason? Jason, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah. For tips or advices, I have three advice. Very important advice. First, don't be afraid to ask for help and to receive help. From when you're a student, there are departments which could help you with your finances, mental health. You have your friends, make friends, get to know a lot of people. Next, be open to new ideas, different ideas and cultures, because you'll be able to meet a lot of people here, Asians, whites, everyone else. So it's gonna be a different experience from what you have in the Philippines, that's for sure. Lastly, I think this is one of the most important ones. Try to enjoy your stay here. Don't get too caught up with your own struggles. Don't don't enter the rat race. Don't tire yourself chasing money, because it's not. I mean, we were thinking about living here, but it's not the point. of living here at all. So you're not here to get so rich working yourself to death. So just enjoy your stay here, and you can save if you want to. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jason. And next, any tips or last words from you, Aryan, to our prospective students or current students as well?
Um, so if it's really your dream to come to Canada to study and build your future with your family, don't lose hope, and just keep motivated, and don't be afraid for change, because sometimes change is good. And if you need some help, there's a lot of groups in Facebook or in Instagram that you can join in for international students, that you can ask for any guidance for if you're planning to come here as a student. So, and also if you have family and planning to come here to Canada, like me, just think of the future of your kids, and everything will go in the right place. So yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Aryan. And next is Kath. Any last words for our viewers?
I think they've already mentioned everything. So what I'll just want to say is just believe in yourself. If you really want to go here in Canada and live here, I assure you that it will be worth it. Um, it's not easy at the first, but it will be very worth it, especially if you have your family with you. It will be worth it, especially with the kids as well. So just believe in yourself. Don't don't be afraid to ask questions. There's a lot of resources online, especially on Facebook and YouTube. So yeah, just we'll see you here in Canada.
Thank you, Kath. And last but not the least, we have Diane. Diane, any last words for our viewers?
Okay, so honestly, it's not easy to be here. Like, you need a lot of patience, you need a lot of perseverance, determination. But if you really want to do it and stay focused on your Canadian dream, you'll surely get into there. Like, if in the Philippines you are on top of your career, don't be
Mhm.
afraid to start from zero, start from scratch here, because that's the reality. Like, yeah, but don't worry, you'll not be there forever. So just soar high, believe in yourself, and then it's hard, but it's on you if you make it hard. But if you like take it slowly, smoothly, just enjoy what Canada brings or gives you, it will not be hard, especially if you're with your family. Just think of the kids' future. Yeah, your future. It's not about money here in Canada. It's about peace of mind, and it's about I mean, yeah, peace of mind, because nobody cares for you. Like, you care on your own life. They don't gossip about you or anything. So yeah, stay focused on your dream. Everything will go, and trust His plan. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Diane. And as for me, for my parting words to all our viewers, the only way to find out if this is worth it for you is for you to try. And also, if you try and you fail, don't get discouraged. Take it from my experience, just sharing a little bit of background. Me and my family have applied for, I think, a total of 15 applications before each of us have been approved here. So that's a combination of all of us. For my husband alone, he was approved for open work permit on his fifth application. So we really have gone through a lot of refusals, and a lot of people have discouraged me, saying that it's time to end the journey. It's time to just probably take 2 years off and see if this is really for you, because it doesn't seem to be worth it. It doesn't seem to be for you because you have been refused multiple times. So just keep trying. If it's really for you, it's gonna be meant to be. Sometimes the journey is long. Do not compare yourselves to others who have been approved in their first try, even if they don't have any documents, not enough proof of funds, no support from sponsors. It's very different from each and every case. So if you just want to do it, do it. There's lots of support available. And if you're wondering on where to start, we have Facebook groups online, and some of the groups that I would recommend is most especially Pinoy Canada Student Visa. We have very helpful members, moderators, and admins who are able to answer your questions and give you more insights on not just study permit plans, but life in general. And we also have Pinoy Canada Student Pathway, Pinoy Canada Forum. So there's lots. If you just search on Facebook, there's really lots that you can find. And you can also, if these guys permit, you can also add us on Facebook if you just want to get some tips on techniques on your applications. And once you come here to Canada, of course, if you're in Calgary, we'll be able to help you out. Hi! And yes, so that's it. I hope we are able to help you in a way by sharing our experiences. I know there's really lots more to cover, but we've actually not expected to go on for almost 3 hours. But thank you for everyone who stayed here. And there's going to be more sessions. So if anybody is watching us who'd like to share their experience as well, please connect with me and we'll try to do another session. And we'll also have another session for postgraduate work permits, PR pathways in Canada, school admission process. So if you have any suggestions, comments, and feedbacks, you can just get in touch with me. And for those who have missed this session, this will still be available on my YouTube channel. So after this, you will be able to get the chance to start from the top and share it as well to your friends. So anyway, for those aspiring students, good luck on your journey, and we are here to be able to help you out. So again, thank you and good night. It's almost 11 here in Calgary, and good morning, Philippines. Thank you again, Abby, Jason, Ariane, Diane, and Pat for sharing your experience. Have a great night. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.